It's now my pleasure to introduce to you the next speaker, who happens to be my boss's boss. Dr. France Córdova is the director of the National Science Foundation. She was sworn in on March 31st, 2014. She was nominated by President Barack Obama to head the NSF, which has a budget of $7.5 billion. It's an independent federal agency. Following the nomination, she was confirmed by the U.S. Senate. Dr. Córdova leads the only government science agency charged with advancing all fields of scientific discovery, technological innovation, and science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, or STEM education. She's president emerita of Purdue University, and she also led the University of California, Riverside as chancellor and was a distinguished professor of physics and astronomy. Dr. Córdova also served as NASA's chief scientist, and in terms of her educational background, she received a Bachelor of Arts degree from Stanford University and her doctorate in physics from the California Institute of Technology. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. France Córdova.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. No, you can't stand now. I haven't said anything. Thank you very much. Thank you. And so we're all really applauding you all in what you've achieved here today. So I will take that ovation with all of us because we've all been in this together for a long time, for at least 25 years, right, with LSAMP. And I am, for this talk, I know there's some controversy, like that old song, you say tomatoes and I say tomatoes. I know some people say LSAMP and some people say LSAMP. But since I knew Louis Stokes, if you will, all the LSAMP people, if you will forgive me for referring to the program as LSAMP just for today. Thank you. So first, I want to say thank you to Sylvia James for leading this effort writ large. I know there are others, and I'll mention them in a moment, who lead the specific program, but Sylvia does so much for the foundation, and it's just the greatest place to work because it's full of really, really talented people. So I hope some of you young folks out there have as your aspiration to one day, just like Dr. Handelsman stepped up when called upon, if we call you, you say yes, okay? And come contribute to the National Science Foundation and to the nation in whatever way you're called on. Well, it is the 25th anniversary, and I'd like to take a moment to recognize some special participants who are with us today. And I've been told that they would be with us, and I hope that's true. First, Dr. Carolyn Myers, president of Jackson State University and a member of NSF's Education and Human Resources Advisory Committee. Is Dr. Myers with us? Maybe not yet. Oh, there. A big hand for you, Dr. Myers. Thank you. President of Jackson State University. Dr. Tom Rudin from the National Academy of Science. Is Dr. Rudin here? And Dr. Leroy Jones of the Louis Stokes Midwest Center for Excellence. Dr. Jones. So today is a special day on which we mark the birthday of one of AMP's strongest advocates, Representative Louis Stokes, who would have turned 91 today. We were all saddened when Representative Stokes passed away a few months ago. I had the honor of meeting and talking with him when I was NASA's chief scientist in the 1990s. It was very memorable. He would come around to headquarters and he would wag his finger at my boss, the NASA administrator, and advocate for Cleveland and Ohio and his district, and just for, in general, for NASA to be supportive in all ways in its space program. And I was just, the NASA administrator and I were in awe of that man. He was a very effective advocate. Because of his many contributions to education at large, including what was then called AMP, over the course of his congressional career, when he retired from Congress in 1999, the program was renamed the Lewis Stokes Alliances for Minority Participation, or LSAMP or LSAMP. At the time of his passing, President Obama paid homage to him. Now, you heard from Dr. Handelsman what Congress had to say about him. I want to just share with you what the president said about him. He noted that while the congressman faced hardships growing up in Cleveland, those experiences imbued him with the belief that everyone should have the chance to succeed. So the president said, quote, "Lou leaves behind an indelible legacy in the countless generations of young leaders that he inspired," unquote. His legacy has been enormous indeed, and I'll address that legacy in a moment. I'd also like to take a minute to honor another tireless advocate for the Alliances for Minority Participation program, AMP, one of my predecessors at NSF, Director Walter Massey, who was present at the creation of the Alliances for Minority Participation program a quarter of a century ago. The initiative Dr. Massey championed was intended to address one of the greatest challenges of our time, growing the talent pool of historically underrepresented groups from which our nation can draw in order to develop tomorrow's technology and scientific leaders. That effort was supported by the National Science Board and approved by the U.S. Congress in 1991. Director Massey has been back in the news recently as the NSF director who approved funding for what you just heard from this first gentleman who had a question of Dr. Handelsman, one of the largest and most ambitious projects ever funded by NSF, the Laser Interferometer Gravitational Wave Observatory, or LIGO. That investment paid off after 40 years of funding. Just a few days ago, when LIGO scientists announced they had observed gravitational waves, confirming a prediction of Albert Einstein's 1915 general theory of relativity. And I'm sure some of you saw the very positive press about the discovery, and we just heard from this gentleman, one of the people that was right there at the moment that the signal first came across, after it ran through the computers, and they have sort of an automatic processing algorithm that kind of sends out a blippy signal when something important happens, and everybody should stop doing something else and pay attention. And that person was William Parker, who, as you heard, was an LSAMP student and then graduated from Southern Methodist University and became a technician at LIGO in Louisiana. And so how special is that for an LSAMP student to be present at the first moment? William Parker. So I just saw yesterday the president of Georgia Tech University. Anybody here from Georgia? Great. There's a statue of Einstein on the campus, right? It's one of the three that they made. One of them is in front of the National Academies of Science. And on that statue now is a sign that some students wrote and hanging from his hand, and it says, "I told you so." And the president, Bud Peterson, said that there have been, and that was as of like yesterday morning, over 2 million hits on that photo. So I put it on my Instagram. I know I need not point out to this audience that Dr. Massey was not just a visionary NSF director and an acclaimed physicist. He was also only the second African American to serve as NSF director. He was and is the embodiment of the promise that LSAMP has always represented, to encourage promising scholars from historically underrepresented groups to aim high and make a difference. Both Representative Stokes and Director Massey proved by their individual efforts just how great the contributions of underrepresented individuals can be if they just have the opportunity to do so. In fact, NSF has long embraced the need for more proactive and innovative ways to increase women and minority representation in STEM fields, dating back to the 1970s, when our work concentrated on enhancing teaching, providing fellowships, and developing traineeships at historically Black colleges and universities. NSF supports curiosity-driven transformative science. You know that. And we do this in an inclusive environment that supports women and men at the beginning of their careers, especially with LSAMP and our Graduate Research Fellowships program. When I came to NSF now, almost 2 years ago, we had a kind of motto, where discoveries begin. And so I've modified that just a little bit. We now say where discoveries and discoverers begin. Both of these programs, LSAMP and our Graduate Research Fellowship Program, have provided mechanisms for increasing the participation of women, minorities, persons with disabilities, and veterans in science and engineering. NSF embraces these and other grand challenges with enthusiasm and with confidence. We continue to devote considerable resources to support institutions as they develop the next generation of leaders in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And recently we announced in the President's budget, it was announced that the President has proposed $500 million more dollars for NSF, which would carry it to an $8 billion budget, that $400 million of that we will focus on emerging scientists and engineers, scholars from all over. So would we get funded, that would be where we would direct our efforts, because that's just such a critical stage in the development of a scientist or engineer. It's widely recognized that STEM fields are the primary drivers of American competitiveness in an increasingly global economy. There have been lots of articles written about that and demonstrating its relationship to economic success for a country. Research shows that more than half of U.S. economic growth over the last 50 years has resulted from improved productivity brought about by STEM-led innovations. NSF believes we all need to open the door wider to a greater number of untapped populations, giving all the nation's citizens a shot at participating in the technological revolutions that are transforming our economy. LSF is proud to support LSAMP because it does just that, and it does it well. NSF celebrates the fact that LSAMP has been writing its own legendary success story for 25 years. During its first year, the program awarded grants to 6 alliances, and today the program has grown to 45 alliances with approximately 600 2- and 4-year partner institutions. Those alliances are scattered across the country, including Alaska, Hawaii, and Puerto Rico. They also include 4 Bridge to the Baccalaureate alliances in Florida, Texas, New Jersey, and North Carolina. In addition, there are Bridge to the Doctorate activities at more than 58 institutions across 21 alliances that are widely distributed across the nation. Alliances partner with local industries, with national laboratories, and other nonprofit organizations that offer research experiences for undergraduates, or the famous REU programs. Activities at DOE national laboratories organizations of tropical studies that we find in Panama and elsewhere, and Native American and Pacific Islanders research experiences, or I don't even know how to pronounce it, NAPIRE in Costa Rica. All told, about 500,000 underrepresented students have earned STEM degrees from LSAMP institutions. A very impressive number and an indication of just how great an impact LSAMP is having among underrepresented racial and ethnic groups. Tens of thousands of students are being helped each year by the sustained and impactful work that LSAMP institutions and project directors are conducting. And my big thanks to all of them. Those figures do not even include the enormous benefits that such intensive educational efforts will have on the students and on the results of the research that they're carrying out, which will improve health and safety, boost industrial productivity, and enhance environmental protection for our nation and the world at large. For example, consider for a moment the 500,000 young people from the LSAMP institutions I just mentioned. At one time in our history, that number would be larger than all the STEM-educated people in the entire country. Today, they compose a powerful cadre of ambitious and talented young people who are determined to make their mark on the United States of America. LSAMP has been more than just a stepping stone for them to achieve better careers and realize better opportunities in life. It's also been a focused effort to draw upon a tremendously important and growing segment of American society. Think of all the talented young people with so much to offer who just needed the guidance and the encouragement to bring forth their creativity and energy to benefit our larger STEM community. So truly, LSAMP has proven itself to be a national treasure for everyone involved. Plus, with its 25 years of experience successfully broadening participation alliances, LSAMP is well positioned to serve as a bridge to NSF's newest initiative, which was announced just yesterday. It's called Includes, and I know those of you who were here for Dr. Farini Monday's remarks yesterday heard something about Includes. But I'll say just a little more. Includes will fund alliances and create a national infrastructure for an integrated national network to increase the preparation, participation, advancement, and potential contributions of those who have been traditionally underserved and/or underrepresented in the STEM enterprise. The idea is to scale up current local efforts to have a broader impact, to really move that needle that we've all been pushing so hard to move. Includes participants will benefit from what LSAMP alliances are already doing, incorporating knowledge generation research studies as part of their alliance activities. The results of these research studies will add to the knowledge base and contribute to our understanding of how the alliances have been effective in broadening participation. That's a message the whole country needs to hear. So we're putting, as a start, $15 million into this initiative, and my first letter to participate has gone out as of yesterday evening to the presidents and chancellors of our nation's universities and colleges to ask them to be the leaders, the PIs, because we know only with institutional commitment, reaching out and engaging communities broadly, will we really be able to move that needle. Let me close my remarks with two brief observations. First, I'd like to congratulate all of you here today, whether you're an administrator or professor, researcher, or most importantly, our students who are working so hard to succeed. and who will, as STEM graduates, contribute to driving the economy, protecting our nation, and helping sustain the U.S. position as a global leader. You are the ones who have made LSAMP such a success over its quarter-century of existence. And no doubt you are building the vital infrastructure of new students and alliances that will continue to make LSAMP an even greater success in the future. And lastly, let me return to Representative Stokes and his legacy. I know there are numerous buildings and institutional centers dedicated to the Congressman's memories, and that's very appropriate. And Louis Stokes lives on in this wonderful program named after him, which he did so much to foster and encourage. But I think Representative Stokes' true legacy resides in you, in the people in this room, those who have benefited from LSAMP support. Look around you. Look around this room. Everyone here has had his or her life changed by Representative Stokes' mentorship, leadership, and guidance. I know mine changed for that. Everyone here has been touched by his generosity, amused by his good humor, helped by his wisdom, and awed by his dedication to excellence and his love of life. So in that spirit, may I say thank you once again for the opportunity to be part of this really special event. And I wish you all a most productive symposium. Thank you.